the right time for you to report to the right authorities? When? Oh, because you feel it's not your child, it's someone's child. It is the father, it's the mother that is actually doing all of that. Or it is one auntie that brought a child from village that's doing all of that, so there is no need, it's not your business. But when they kill that same child, that's when you come out to say, oh, you have been seeing her do all of that, yet you never reported. Is it until it gets out of hand before we understand that we have to have a reporting culture? In Lagos, we have what we call OPD, Office of the Public Defense. Go to the nearby police station, any division around you, and lay your complaint. You have to understand that beyond this, persecution, the girl would face a long-term physical and psychological trauma. The psychological trauma, we don't even know how it's going to end. We don't. And this will cause a lot of trigger. Cases like this are often, are used by child rights groups to advocate for public education on positive discipline and, of course, stronger enforcement of child protection. We have to understand that either we like it or not, this has to stop. And we have to go into some rural areas. We can actually say, oh, people in urban areas, to an extent, they know what they're doing and, they know the right thing to do. But this will not also stop this sensitization. We have to publicize this thing. We have to, go around to make sure that parents understand the nitty-gritty of all of this particular situation. You can't keep punishing a child for what is normal. What you also did, can anybody mention, can anyone at all say they never bedwetted? Because you stopped early, or because, your parents helped you to stop early, doesn't mean that you never did. It's just a normal developmental situation with children. We have to understand all of this. When it's now getting beyond, beyond control, when the child has grown and yet it's still happening, then you seek medical help. Instead of taking, law to your hands, instead of you thinking of, persecuting your child. Any parent that does this, for me, I just feel you're not qualified to be, a parent. That's it. Well, the bottom line, while the rest, of course, has been made, but we have to understand that child education needs to, be talked about. The child health, has to be talked about. Violence against children has to be talked about. And there has to be a proper action taken. Until we get to that point, some people, might still be trivializing the situation. If you look at, several slides, on our screen, and of course on your screen, you are also seeing another particular one from the educational sector, where teachers can decide to punish children in any way. You can't use 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, kind of, mentality to continue with children. Perhaps then we didn't know better. Now we know better. Where a teacher would tell the children, go to the field, use your hand to cut grass. Some teachers would pour water on their pupils' body before flogging them so that the cane can actually have more impact. And you are so proud of yourself because everyone, starts seeing you as the most feared, a teacher. What exactly is your gain and what is your aim? These are just the questions. This is quite a very sad one. It's quite a very sad one. But I just hope that the authorities would do even more and sweep everywhere in this country up until this situation is ended or is properly, curbed. And it shouldn't just even be in a particular state. Let them go round. Nigeria is big enough. We need our National Orientation Agency to do better with such information. And this brings me to the next conversation. Of course, the airport police command has arrested a 17-year-old boy identified as Benjamin Daniel over the alleged sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl in Sabo Malashi area in Abasa. This is happening in Abuja as we speak. All right, police said the incident allegedly, occurred on August 15th after the teenager reportedly, lured the girl into his room under the pretext of buying some of the soya bean cake she was selling. The alleged assault was later reported by the girl's mother at the Abuja Airport Police Division, prompting officers to move swiftly to secure medical attention for the victim and, of course, efforts to locate the suspect. Police said Daniel was subsequently arrested and remains in custody as investigation continues. The airport police command said the suspect's statement was obtained in the presence of his mother in accordance, of course, with procedures governing the handling of juvenile suspects, while measures have been put in place to safeguard the victims' welfare and well-being. Police authority say the suspect will be brought before a juvenile court of competent jurisdiction after the investigation is concluded. The Commissioner of Police, Airport Police Command, CP Olufunke Ogunbode, condemned the alleged incident and reaffirmed the command's zero tolerance for rape, sexual assault, and other form of sexual violence. And now, this is the reason why I'm saying it's quite sad, this morning that we're actually moving from one, to the other. We have to understand that child sexual violence, has been ongoing for quite, some time, for so many decades. And we have to look for a way to actually stop this particular one. Because if we are looking at, a 17-year-old boy, Benjamin Daniel, who is now accused of assaulting a 14-year-old girl, we have to look at, of course, I remembered some of us watching, our Nollywood movies in the past, where we see such, situation being played out where you get to they get to lure, a lady inside because they want to buy something and all of that. Now, sometimes we have to understand that some of these particular things get to reflect in the life of, our teenagers because they want to explore. I'm not in any way condemning the Nollywood. I'm not in any way, of course, they're trying to mirror the situation that is happening in real life. But of course, we've actually seen one now. So this is not about Nollywood anymore. But this is painful because predators like this get to exploit children that are vulnerable every day. He's 17. Just one more year, he'll be 18 and he's an adult. That's just the truth. But the question is, how long has he been doing this? A 3-year gap? The fact remains that both are still minors. And that's why it makes the case, a juvenile on juvenile sexual violence. But if we are to move from that particular one, to adults who do this, some of them we've tagged the pedophiles, and this happens on a daily basis just because we've actually seen one out of many that has been apprehended. And how sure are we upon any decision, upon any, punishment, upon any rule that this young boy of 17 would get, that when he turns 18, becoming an adult, that it would actually stop? This bothers, everyone. And if you're a parent, you understand how, more concerned you should be and how painful the situation, sounds. How did we get to this particular point where we can't even watch over every other, person's child anymore? Back then, your parents are in or not, the community watches over you. And there is no how any uncle, any brother, any sister, any auntie, whatever, because the same way we have it, in men trying to lure, young girls in, minors in, that's the same way we also have it in some ladies. So there has to be a balance in this conversation. It's just because we are not getting more conversation or we're not seeing more stories on this. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does. We've had cases in the past. But back then, parents, community get to, watch over every child. They just see it as every child is their own. But now, it doesn't look that way anymore. You would see a minor, you would see, a girl of 16, dressing indecently. You see a girl of 15 walking around with, boys, and some of them are even into this, little drugs or whatever on the street. Parents are not looking away. They don't even care. They don't even care. They're not even talking about it anymore. Back then, if you dress indecently, anybody at all who is an elder will call you and tell you, take your clothes off. Take it up. And if you were even sagging as a boy, they tell you, draw your trouser up. Some will tell you, go back home and wear something better. But are we getting such a situation anymore in the country? I doubt if it still exists. And this is the reason why I'm saying that so much is changing in our community today. So much is changing in this country. And we have to look into, we have to look inward. We have to look into, our nation building. We have to look into our community. We have to look into, us watching, out for our neighbors and for ourselves. Whether we like it or not, we have vulnerability of child vendors in the country as we speak. Imagine a young girl selling a soya bean cake. Children now auction communities. And what do you expect? They're exposed to all manner of abuse. They interact with adults unsupervised. Unsupervised. Emphasis, unsupervised. What do you expect? And who should we hold accountable? The parents that are struggling to make ends meet? A mother of 4 or a family of 6 comprised of father and mother. They're struggling and they also have business. Father would look for a business to do, to sell. Mother is also selling the same business. And they push their 4 children on the streets. So go hawk. So what do you expect? Who is going to supervise the child? The only language any parents or such parents are waiting for is for you to come back that you have finished selling all they gave to you. And you came back home with money. Some parents don't even help matters. When a girl child come back home to say, a particular man touched me, in a way I was not comfortable, they say, keep quiet. Don't pursue my customer. That's the next word you hear from some of them. We have to get to the point where these things some of this situation needs to be curbed in this country. And of course, kudos to Lagos State, but to an extent, they've also stopped. And that's the bigger problem. They get to start, and I just feel one of the biggest problems we have in this country is continuity. Some states would actually, start off that any child, who is hawking, any minor who is hawking, they'll be picked and their parents would, face the law. But guess what? They'll try it for maybe a week or 2, 1 month or 2 months or thereabouts, and after then, they stop again. And we don't get to hear any situation like that again. Because we have to understand that for a 17-year-old alleged, perpetrator to actually carry such, incident out, we have to understand that we have 1,001 more somewhere that is indulging in such frivolity as we speak. So what has been done about it? And this raises the main question. We have to discuss sex education, parental supervision. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about children, being exposed to harmful content. Nigeria must balance accountability, with rehabilitation. We just have to. This system needs to have a proper balance. And please, I would urge you, regardless of the situation, whenever you perceive such cases, happening around you, reach out to the authority, report the situation. Let's not be trivializing things. It's quite sad this morning because I understand the fact that these children would have trauma and stigma is also involved. They would be stigmatized. Some community people would also stigmatize, put stigma on these children. And the next thing you would hear, and Nigerians, we are so good at that particular thing, we change the name of the child or name of the parents. Now what you now hear is, which side are you going to? Is it the compound where they actually molested that woman's child? Or, you don't know that woman, that's the woman that they molested, or you don't know that girl, that's the girl. All of a sudden, we just act as if we can't remember their names anymore. And these children will go through trauma and stigmatization for how long? We have to protect our children. We have to protect children who walk and who walk. We have to safeguard our teenagers. This is all I would say as regards to this conversation because it's quite sad. And as a parent, I would not be seated here and say I am happy with such situation. And I would want more perpetrators to be brought to book. And that is the only way that it will sound as a deterrent to every other one who is either indulging in it quietly, secretly, or about to, with disease from such situation. All right, that's all we have as regards to that particular, our first slide. But we'll be moving to the newspaper review where we just have to, take the newspaper, our front pages. And afterwards, we'll be going to the main conversation where we'll have time to dissect a situation that is, making rounds on the Nigerian dailies, and I would urge you to come along with us. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll just like to go on a quick break. As soon as we return, we'll be taking the newspaper review. Do stay well with us.
This year, your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 gigahertz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 gigahertz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second. Polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. VOP TV on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
That 10 seconds you save by crossing the road could cost you your life. Pedestrian bridges are built for one reason: to keep you safe. They are free, they are strong, and they are there to protect you. Dashing across expressways leads to injuries, loss, and grief that last forever. Using the bridge takes less than 1 minute. Losing a loved one lasts a lifetime. Parents, teach your children. Drivers, slow down near bridges. Everyone, please use the pedestrian bridge every time. Your life is worth the climb. This message is from Voice of the People's Television.
In the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Are you looking for where to?
Hello there, and thank you for staying with us. It is still the Saturday morning boss on Voice of Television. All right, so quickly we'll be diving into the newspaper review now. And the first paper we'll be taking is a Saturday Tribune, which says, the banner headline says, Northern Senators of Fenifere raises alarm over worsening insecurity. Of course, the above neat plates are there. We have article blasts Tinubu over attack on his petrol subsidy model. My wife gets drunk, bedwet, beats me to pulp. This is coming from a particular man, you know. All right. Beneath there, we have terror alerts with short schools in high-risk areas, stepped off vigilance. This is coming from Sokoto government. 2027 campaign will be about putting Nigerians first. This is coming from Makinde. We are still studying election results. This is Oshun's election result from Oyebanji. All right, Tinubu suspend 3 permanent secretary as ICPC uncovers another fake agency in SGF's office. All right, we also have Governor Adeleke has no plan to join APC campaign council, says his visit to Tinubu is customary. We are happy Oshun people are saying Governor Adeleke is not in position to tell them who to vote for in 2027. This is coming from Abdullahi ADC spokesman. All right, moving to Saturday Telegraph. APC Southwest Caucus in panic mode. That's the banner headline there. And the writer to that story says, move to reconcile aggrieved members ahead of general election. A party may substitute names of National Assembly candidates to placate upset members. Right? The upper bar there says that my father cheated a debt when fella tried to test potency of bulletproof charm on him. This is coming from Olikoye Ransom Kuti's son. All right, newspaper vendor in a losing battle against internet, a smartphone. Right, this particular one is about a digital invasion. You can find that on page 28 and 29 of the Saturday Telegraph. All right, we also have a delegate now member of my Rainbow Coalition for Tinubu. This is coming from the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. The writers of that particular story says, it's my job to give Atiku orders high blood pressure. Right, ICPC uncovers another fake agency in SGF office. Right, Nigeria can work. I will make it work. This is coming from Mr. Peter Obi. He says leadership must deliver results. The writers of that particular one. Leadership must deliver results on security, economy, human capital. What we expect from candidates by Oba Afale Ango and of course Abdullahi. Of course, beneath there we have Fulani men, women, kids among 75 kidnapped victims rescued in Kaduna. This is coming from the police quarters. Pengasan demands National Assembly review of Tinubu's oil executive order. And you can actually find this particular on page 6. Now, moving on to the Guardian weekend. Of course, the banner headline is actually talking about the 2027 polls. Why politicians should embrace issue-based campaign. Right, you can find that on page 4 and 5. Right, above the neat place there says electoral justice will ultimately drive a peaceful election in Nigeria. This is coming from the SDP man. Right, how leadership, innovation, trust can make Nigeria a university resilient. Right, we also have food security. Afenifere seeks a robust military action to curb banditry in Southwest, boosting farming. 2027 in focus, INEC to conduct mock accreditation in November. Right, we also have beneath there Ogoni leaders fought resumption of oil exploration amid dialogue. Power sector woes. Experts propose cassava effluent to energy solution. U.S. court permits FBI to review Tinubu drug case file in private. All right, beneath there we have 2027 in view as well. Tinubu Adeleke and a danger of assumption. National Rainbow Coalition for Tinubu on the way. Wiki reveals. And lastly, we'll take a Saturday Punch. The banner headline says how APC Accord splash 100 billion. As regards to that particular election. The writers to the story, of course, you have Oshunara Rain. We saw money and started dancing. I've never seen such money in my entire political career. Some local governments receive 500 million each. This is APC, coming from APC leader. The money was huge and we couldn't finish it after the election. About $1 billion naira was still left idle in a party's leader's house. This is coming from Accord Chieftain. It's quite, laughable and serious. All right. Cancer situation, colleagues, fans, battle to save veteran actor Ogogo. And we also have another one here, another fake agency. Federal government suspend 3 permanent secretaries, order arrest. Why we left America for Nigeria with 5 children, U.S. professor and wife. Okay. Fat short Abino, when jokes become lifelong scars. Right. EFCC on phrases or Oshun's account after Tinubu's order, Oyebanji sues for peace. All right, we actually have more, on our dailies, but this is how far we can actually, go as regards to the news. Our paper review. Joining us in the studio, we have Mr. Ekundayo Lawa, who is a social and political affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Mr. Lawa. It's good to have you here again. All right, Mr. Lawa, which of the papers would you want to respond to? Which of the headlines?
Let me respond to that hero. That hero, that's being incarcerated as of now. That is Prince Adeyemi.
Okay.
He has turned to a hero now.
Okay.
Because of him now, we see, explosions of
another fake agency.
Yes.
Okay.
That man is a hero now. He blew the whistle, and then he's been trying. They're trying to silence him. Why? Look at what is happening based on what he came up with that bold move he did. Yeah, what he came up with. So he's a hero. He's a hero. Now, apart from that, so many, ministries, organizations in the government that are involved in these fake agencies. We want to see their heads rolling. Like a Ministry of Budget, planning, civil service, whatever. Because these agencies cannot exist the way they are without all these people giving the necessary approvals and whatever for them to be there. Now, they are there. So what has happened to the heads of these ministries? We don't see them being, suspended and maybe prosecuted, or maybe, allowed police or maybe ICPs to question them, maybe the writing statement and whatever. Now, Adeyemi has opened the can of worms, and then we are seeing a lot of things happening. So the man is a hero to me.
Now, I love the fact that you started off with Adeyemi's conversation, because I remember, one of the editions on People's Voice, we talked about, this fake agency, unquote. And I asked that question. I said, Mr. Lawal, how many more fake, agencies do we have in this country that we have not actually discovered? The same way we're also seeing, budget padding, which we didn't know. And when we check the books of NNPC, we realize that a certain money is being paid as subsidy, but it is not, called that way. That being said, we have seen different, budget padding in the budgets of consolidation, the 2026 budgets. And we just saw another particular, figure from the Senate president, which was actually hidden under, another one. That actually, made rounds this week, but that might also, wants to come out in the next, in the next few days. That being said, we also saw that of the deputy speaker of House of Reps, Benjamin Kalu, who also said that it was about youth sensitization against narcotics, drugs, prostitution and what have you. And when we checked the proper synopsis of what the money was meant for and how the money will be utilized, the 1 billion, they were to give it to churches. 5 million to 6 million to give to churches to help them carry out this particular, sensitization, this awareness. And my question, what happens to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation Agency when you are giving money to church to help you carry out awareness and sensitization? That being said, they still came out to say, oh, no, it was not 1 billion. Upon tax deduction, it was now 780 million.
Okay.
Mr. Lawal.
Even if it is 1 naira.
Mr. Lawal. Now, if we are to look into all of this conversation, we have been seeing different revelations, and we are grateful to God that it is happening now. Now, if we are to look into all of this, situation, we asked that particular question, and Nigerians asked that question. Who gave Prince Adeyemi, the letter of appointment? It came from the SGF office. So if the letter of appointment came from the SGF office, and Adeyemi mentioned that so many things actually came from the SGF office, so the whole system and the whole SGF office, don't you think we have to carry our, microscope, and everything? Everybody needs to get extra lenses to look into that particular, instead of just, holding about just 3 permanent secretaries? It's just a question.
That's why I said Adeyemi, to me, is a hero. Because I don't know what they are holding him for. Seriously, I don't know what they are prosecuting him for. You know why? Because if you can't get involved officially with government without invitation, you can't. Somebody must invite you. Somebody must give you the letter. before all these processes, were followed and everything. So the question is, who invited Adeyemi to come and take the appointment? He can't just go and take the appointment by himself and do what somebody must have invited him. So many, and then we are seeing the way by which they are jumping. The government is jumping the gun. They only go to where they want to talk about. They don't talk about the processes. They only go to one isolated area they want to talk about that affects the man, and then they forget the whole thing. And the question is, who invited him? Who called him to come and take the appointment? Who gave him the appointment letter? And then every other person in the age or every other agency that are involved recognize this appointment letter and begin to fix things. So how are you now prosecuting? I don't know what they are prosecuting him for. Now, and second thing is that I expected an independent, just like that Oresoya, report. That organization, I expected the government to have set up an independent investigative organization to look holistically about the whole thing, not ICPC. Even ICPC is doing its own. There's supposed to be, an independent one that is totally independent from the government, that will now do a forensic report, do a proper investigation of the whole thing, Adeyemi's case, plus every other agencies in the government and the ministry, and then come up with a report and then submit the report. By the time they are submitting the report, hey, everybody will now pick it. The ICPC will use it, police will use it, whosoever will use it. They will submit it to the president. And then we can have a comprehensive report. Not this one in which they are picking it from junctions. They'll pick one here, you'll jump the gun and go and pick another one somewhere else. And then, so I just hope that the government will be able to set up a committee, forensic committee like that, Oresoya committee to look into it and be able to give us something.
All right. I just hope that we would have a balance, government, where our government, officials are accountable, because if a president, for example, is the CEO of, a country, the office of, the government, the secretary of the government of the federation, secretary of the government of the federation, happens to be like a COO, chief operating officer, because he literally manages MDAs, coordinates different,
Yes.
When we know that chief of staff is to, manage both everything that concerns the president and the political wing. But for SGF, it has to do with the, MDAs and all of that. And when our SGF is already having, questionable characters or questionable, antecedents or questionable, activities, it's quite alarming. I remembered when, Anyim Pius Anyim was, the SGF during Jonathan's time, we didn't hear, situations like this. And let it not be as if I'm talking about the PDP. Even when Boss Mustafa, was the SGF, during Buhari's era, I don't think there was any serious situation that was attached or linked to, the SGF like the way we are actually getting now. So, but at some point, when we get to talk about situations like this, but how long are we going to talk about it? We just hope that this government is accountable enough to, bring out anyone that, has actually done Nigerians a disservice. Because at this point, it's a disservice. Our money is being looted. Did you see what one of the headlines says? That the amount of money that was spent in Osun, they couldn't finish it. And even after election, about $1 billion was still remaining with a certain, leader of a party in Osun State.
I saw 100 billion.
And children are, walking on the streets. Families are hungry. Nigerians are going through a lot. Yet, when a particular, conversation was blown up that APC governors actually diverted some certain amount of federal allocation, money that was meant for the states, for them to prepare for campaign. After then, what did we hear? They didn't even come out to make, any, to do any disclaimer or for them to come and address the situation. So should we say there's an iota of truth in that conversation?
Yes. If
Regardless of that, I'll just say we move from here to the main conversation that we're talking about. So I would like you to do well to stay with us as soon as we go on this break. Once we return, we'll be entering the main conversation, of course, the first conversation that we have on our decks. Nigerians cry for help. Patients seek millions for life-saving care. Don't go nowhere, please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This year, your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 gigahertz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 gigahertz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second. Polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. VOP TV on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
All right, welcome back to the program. It is still Saturday Morning Buzz on Voice of the Television. The growing burden of life-threatening illnesses and the rising cost of medical treatments have once again come under sharp focus with desperate appeals for help emerging from different parts of Nigeria. In Enugu, more than 500 kidney patients reportedly gathered at the Parkland Hospital seeking assistance as the cost of dialysis and other treatments continues to place enormous pressure on patients and their families. Among those needing urgent support is a 41-year-old mother of three battling kidney failure who is seeking about 40 million for a life-saving kidney transplant. The situation has also drawn public attention after a former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi, visited kidney patients at Parkland to empathize with them and hear their concerns. And of course, the cry for help extend beyond kidney disease. A veteran Nollywood actor, Taiwo Zan, popularly known as Ogogo, is currently battling stage 4 cancer, prompting his daughter to publicly seek urgent medical assistance. The development has generated widespread reaction across Nigeria and attracted offers of help from hundreds of people. Although veteran actor Jude Kosoko says the sheer number of offers has created another challenge determining which medical intervention is appropriate while Ogogo remains in hospital. A medical doctor has also cautioned against interpreting the shift towards palliative care, also hospitals abandoning the actor, explaining that treatment at an advanced stage of cancer may focus increasingly on controlling symptoms and improving quality of life. All right, you can actually see the video there. I'd like my team to just, give me audio as regards to that, and afterwards we'll come into the main conversation.
Everybody, good evening. Hello everybody, good evening. I meant to ask for help from my daddy. He has cancer and it's really, really bad. And the hospitals are refusing to treat him. At least, please, give this man a chance. Nobody wants to do anything. Why not yet ask for money? Nobody is asking for money, but please, if you know somebody that knows somebody that can help. This man has a strong will to live. You see him, you can't even know that something is wrong, that bad. It's just starting to show. We didn't even know until like 3 weeks ago. So please, I'm begging you. If you know somebody that knows somebody that will be willing to treat him, anything, we're willing to try anything. Please, why not yet ask for money? Nobody's yet asked for money. My big uncle has helped Yayi. He has been of great help. Like nobody even knew that he would show up for us this way. But if he's willing to do anything, but please, if you know somebody that knows somebody that will be willing to treat him, I would really appreciate it. Please, I can't watch my daddy die. I can't. Please.
All right, that's quite a very, a sad one there. And just like we said, we have, other cases as regards to that of a kidney. To help us, analyze, this conversation, we're still having in the studio Mr. Lawai Kunda, who is a social and political analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Lawai, for being part of the program. And joining us virtually, we have Dr. Eze Chisom, a medical practitioner, director of medical operations, my cyber clinics, of course. And I don't know, doctor, good morning to you. Are you there? I'd like you to unmute your device if you can hear me. Hello, doctor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Yes, good morning.
Thank you so much for being part of the program. And joining us from Benin, we have Comrade Ibrahim Momo, who will be joining us as well, but I'm told that is not in. Before I bring it back to the studio, I'd like to start off with you, doctor. Since this is, your field, so you would pick it up from here, and afterwards we would actually have a share of a conversation. Now let's talk about kidney disease and, of course, the cost of treatment. We saw over 100 plus kidney patients gathered at, Parkland Hospital, in Enugu for help, which you actually saw that. Now, Nigerian dialysis cost has been around 30,000 to 50,000, am I correct? Per section, since 2015, with, sessions a week, that is over about, let's say, 7.8 million yearly. Is this dialysis, sustainable for ordinary Nigerians without NHIs? Because some people don't, have, NHIs. They don't also have any HMO at all. That being said, a 41-year-old mother, of 3 needs about 40 million for a kidney transplant. 40 million. Doctor, you agree with me that in year 2000, Y2K, the millennia, of course, in Y2K, year 2000, the first kidney transplant in Nigeria was done at Lutz, which was just about 2 million naira, under 2 million, if I'm correct. And my question, why has this particular cost ballooned 20 times ahead, in 25 years? I'd like you to take this up, please.
Okay, please, before I start, I would like to point out that I actually trained in Parkland Hospital, that's NHS University Hospital Enugu, and seeing that where I trained, it was quite emotional. Now, the increased cost of healthcare.
Oh, doctor, if we're getting it correctly, you said you train in Parkland Hospital presently, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I train in Parkland Hospital. Yes.
All right, please go ahead.
So the increased cost of healthcare across all sectors is the problem why some form of healthcare assessments are very expensive. The reason being that there are no incentives from the government, and most of the government hospitals are actually running low on funds. Now, most patients have to turn to private facilities to get access to quality healthcare. And private facilities are businesses, privately owned, and they run all costs with no form of extra incentive or with no form of extra budgeting or funding. Now they have to do everything by themselves, which increases the cost of this form of healthcare, actually dialysis. Now to even add more to what you just mentioned, the cost of dialysis currently is even more than 50,000 naira. Because if you want to calculate the cost of dialysis, you need to calculate firstly the cost of the medications, the cost of the investigations to be done before and after dialysis. Because before you perform dialysis, they need to check your blood level, that's your PCV. They need to also check your urea creatinine level to know if you're fit for dialysis and some other parameters to be checked before you perform dialysis. Now, some patients having dialysis will require blood transfusion while being dialyzed, so that's an extra cost. Some also require some form of special medication like sulfapamine and some other special medication depending on how serious the problem is before they are being dialyzed. So it's a whole lot, and these medications are expensive. Getting blood from the blood bank is expensive, especially if they don't have a relative that can donate. Even if a relative can donate, how many times can relatives go on to donate blood for every time they have dialysis? And mind you, for anyone that has kidney failure or chronic kidney disease, they require at least 2 to 3 dialysis per week, not just one. Some require up to 3, some require up to 4 per week. So it depends on the severity of the problem, and also if at the end of the day they can afford to be to afford a kidney transplant, which we all know is very difficult and very expensive. Even if you have the money, finding a donor that will be a perfect match for you just solve that problem. So I think the government needs to put in so much incentive and so much funding to the health sector. Okay, for instance, look at the federal government budget for the health sector this year. That is abysmal. That is not enough. There are several state teaching hospitals in the country, several federal teaching hospitals in the country, and they need support. Even the general hospitals need support because healthcare starts from the primary care center, and this is what we've been clamoring over and over and over again. Because if healthcare starts from the primary health sector, before it gets to the tertiary level, there are illnesses that take that tertiary stage before you can get to the tertiary before you get to the tertiary facility. Tertiary facility should be handling only serious cases. But nowadays everybody comes to tertiary facilities. The primary facilities are like abandoned, like they're like neglected. A primary healthcare facility. But if you go there, I'm sure that what you see there is not something to be asking about. Then additionally, the cost of insurance is another problem. Even with NHIS can give you some form of subsidy with regards to dialysis, but it depends on your subscription. However, there are also some other insurance companies, some other HMOs available, like Leadway, XM and the rest of them. It depends on your subscription with them. That is also why it's also very important for every Nigerian, as much as you can, as much as you can able to afford to have health insurance, because it saves a lot and nobody knows when you're going to be needing it. And it is also good that Nigerians learn that don't see health insurance like, oh, what if I register for insurance and I don't get it? Nobody knows when you get it. Nobody knows when your loved one will get it. So I think we should also pay attention to that and depend on our government to put in more funding into the health sector. Thank you.
Now, thank you so much, Dr. Achisom, for that particular, submission. Now, talking about health insurance, of course, you've actually, touched it to an extent which you would agree with me that so many organizations, have not actually put that in place for their staff. Aside from that, some Nigerians don't even know, that they don't even know the benefits or the need for them to actually, walk up to any private, HMOs to reach out to them to say they want health insurance. That being said, our Nigerian health insurance scheme was meant to actually go, round for Nigerians. For Nigerians. And, of course, we saw that Mr. Peter Obi went to empathize. But since 1999, we've had several, several cases as regards to health insurance. But less than 5% of Nigerians are covered. Now, if less than 5% of Nigerians are covered, what has the NHIS been doing? Because you would agree with me, if you go into any hospital today, amongst, let's say, 100 patients, in that particular hospital, maybe just 2 or 3 are actually using the NHIS. The rest are just, private HMOs, or they just come in, for just treatment and they go. So is political visitation becoming a substitute, for actual policy? And the reason why we have to talk about this is because it is now becoming alarming. Where we have this kidney failure is now becoming, several cases, like the major, is now a top 5, causes of death in Nigeria. This is coming from World Health Organization. I don't know if you are also, abreast with that particular data.
That's right.
During Obasanjo time, we had what we call, health for all. This particular policy, of course, stayed for a while, but after then, what happens? Now, every patient are now depending on crowdfunding for treatment. Just like you also mentioned, you're working there, you practice there at Parkland, and you have seen different, patients, vulnerable patients who are just there helpless because they don't have money. And you just mentioned that even the figure I gave as regards to 30 to 50,000 for dialysis, most of them have increased. Most kidney patients in Nigeria die due to inability to afford dialysis, which in India, Egypt, their government subsidizes transplant, to about $5,000. Why can't Nigerians do the same? Why can't we do the same? And I know, Mr. Lawa, I'll be coming to you. I want him to talk from a place of a doctor, and because they converse with the government, they actually talk with the NHIS as as a body. So I would like you to take this up, please. Doctor, please, over to you.
Well, I think. Okay, yes. So the Nigerian Medical Association has been making sincere efforts from the get-go, trying to liaise with the government directly because they are the governing body for doctors here in the country. I believe they're making efforts to reach out to the government in regards to more funding into the health sector. Then again, another perspective is that patients should be aware of the NHIS care, because if you go around and do a survey among 100 patients you see and ask them, have you reached out with NHIS? You notice that most of them have not even heard about it, or most of them have heard about it, or they don't really believe in it. That's one thing or the other. So I think another thing we doctors should do on our own end is to create more awareness for the importance of insurance schemes over the country, especially NHIS. Then again, the NHIS scheme itself needs to be visited based on the amount of packages and the healthcare benefits they cover, because I remember vividly that they don't cover some certain drugs and they don't cover for certain procedures, so they need to increase their reach, and they can only increase their reach when there is more funding from the federal government. So I think it only relies on the federal government to put in more funding into the health sector. By doing this, the NHIS is fully funded. They can offer full packages, complete coverage of procedures and medications for patients. Then doctors on their own should also make sincere efforts, not just doctors, other healthcare workers should make sincere efforts to make sure that patients learn about the importance of insurance schemes. And then patients too on their own end should make sincere efforts to make sure that every member of their family is insured, must have health insurance, either with a private health insurance company or with the NHIS here in the country. So I think these 3 things are the solutions that should be implemented to increase the quality of healthcare for this country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I think if I am to go on as regards to, the health conversation, because I would have wanted you to touch on, fee for service, capitation and all of that. Maybe because at some point I actually did a quality assurance for some of these private, HMOs, and that actually made me know what we're really going through in our health sector. But thank you so much, Dr. Chisom, for that particular one. And I'm being told that Comrade Momo is in. Comrade, good morning to you. I'd like you to unmute your device if you can hear me. All right, let me bring it back to the studio. Mr. Lawa, you've heard all of, this conversation, but I would want to talk about, I would want you to also, move into this particular cancer situation of, the popular actor, and I would want you to talk about that. But you wanted to respond to,
yes,
the conversation.
See, what I want to say is about that two things. One, health, when it comes to health, whatever, medical treatment or whatever, the health, let me say, when it comes to health, two things are involved: prevention and treatment. We are talking about treatment, we are not talking about prevention. What about prevention? Kidney doesn't just fail like that. It fails for certain reasons. One, diabetes, high blood pressure, and some other things. Now, what education is the government offering, or what maybe organization that give people this, health advice about how to prevent these problems? Kidney failure. It's good to prevent it than to start running around for treatment. It's good. It's majorly caused by high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that. How do you talk to people about this so that anybody who has these issues from the onset could be able to, seek medical attention and then solve that problem before it becomes a problem that you've been looking for dialysers? So the government, we should focus more, just like when we are focusing on this treatment, we need to focus more, give more attention to prevention. We need to talk to Nigerians how to prevent all these problems. What leads to kidney failure? Diabetes. How do you make sure you don't have diabetes? These are the things. How do you detect any diabetes so that you don't have issues like kidney failure? These are the things you need to do, and then you need to seek medical attention quickly so that it can be, easily treated at that, preliminary stage before it becomes a big problem that you'll be needing a big a dialyzing machine or dialyzer. Then that's one. The second one is this NHIS. I think government should make it compulsory for any corporate organization to have NHIS for their workers. I have seen companies in which I was there. One NHI agent came to visit that organization, and the owner of the organization did for himself. He was doing it there. How much is it? He said, okay, for me and my family. After that, the NHI agent now asked him, what about your workers? He said, no, they will solve that themselves. I was flabbergasted. The man said, no, they will do that themselves. Look at that. And this thing is so, it's so cheap, as low as 15,000 naira per year. And a corporate organization could not do it for its workers.
We have so many organizations that are not actually, doing HMOs for their.
Hey, they just need their workers to go and do it yourself. The moment you have issue, the next thing they look for is how to sack you. I've seen an organization in which the worker was sacked because he falls sick once in a while. They sack that person. You see, if government made it compulsory that all these corporate organizations, when you are limited, you must have NHIS, for your workers. Then to become compulsory, you will not be able to avoid it, since it's compulsory. Then they'll be able to do it for their workers, and then all this problem will be drastically reduced. Because if people have that NHIS, you go for medical checkup on your own, because the money has already been paid. You can go for medical checkups on your own so that they can detect all these problems when they are still coming up, and then be able to treat it. It is when it becomes chronic that you'll be needing things like dialyzing machine or a dialyzer. But what about when it is still coming up, that it can still be quickly, taken care of? If you had a doctor, it's well that it can be taken care of when it is in the
Now,
non-small
Mr. Lawa,
stage.
Mr. Lawa, I want us to look at a certain, area. Should I call it the gray area? Now, I'll be diving into that, perhaps maybe with, Comrade Ibrahim Momo. Now, when we look at the broader picture, over time we get to see in our Nigerian budget where, different, ministry sectors, we see the trillions that they get to, mark for all of these particular ministries. But when it gets to, Ministry of Health, I don't think we have done enough. And I'll be reading some statistics later, because the 15% that the government actually said that they will be, budgeting for Ministry of Health out of the national budget, they've never met up to it, not once. And with due respect to every government since 1999 to date, I have fact here. I'll be reading that soon. Is it not worrisome? Just like we have this Ogogo situation of stage 4 cancer now. We've lost Rachel Oniga to this particular, another, a Nollywood person. Now a singer, Sam Sultan, to also cancer.
I lost my own sister to that.
Now,
too.
and we do this crowdfunding has become the new normal. Where should the government come in the lives of every Nigerian?
See, let's first of all,
because it looks like, regardless of the situation, while we're struggling, we fall back to ourselves, and when we are in serious problem, we still fall back to ourselves, and it just looks like there is no government that can actually do anything. And the reason why I'm saying this, I love the fact that the daughter mentioned that the gubernatorial candidate of the APC, who happens to be, she said, my uncle, so I want to feel that they are related in some way. That's Yayi Olamilekan, Senator Olamilekan, Solomon Olamilekan. Now, she said he has been supporting them. That being said, should we always do crowdfunding, meaning that we are only, we are on our own in this country? Should our health sector, not be properly, established to a point where some situations can be curbed even before it becomes, so dangerous that we know that it is over? Because how long should we be losing, our loved ones because of a dilapidated, health sector in this country?
See,
I'd like to take it up, please.
There are two things to this. One, the law, and two, the political will to make the society work. We lack the two in Nigeria. For example, why will people who make laws, who govern, who budget for health sectors travel out of the country when they have health issues, when they want to go for health checkup? Can a father in a house or mother, after preparing food for everybody, you will not eat part of the food, you will go out and buy you will go to restaurants and eat, while the food you prepare, you give it to the other members of the house.
Then we should ask the question, what did you prepare?
Yes, now you will never eat part of it. You go to restaurants and then you go and eat your food. That is the problem we have with Nigeria. There's no law compelling Nigerian, political leaders to make use of every, in a thing that they have done for Nigeria. Look at education too. It's cut across. They will take that same money, take it abroad to take care of themselves, and then they come back to Nigeria and leave us to fend for ourselves. Second is that we are talking about pockets of politicians here and there. They've been able to as if they spent their money. The question is, a rep, federal rep, who has collected constituency allowance, that hospital, this
health
federal
centers,
hospital, yes, this
health centers,
they are located in these constituencies.
Yeah.
They are not isolated from your constituencies. So if you say you are assisting here and there, I don't go about that. I don't go with that. Because the moment they are in your constituency, it is your responsibility to make sure that health center takes care of every member, is working very well for that for that constituency, go to these primary health centers. You'll be surprised. Come to Mafuluku here. You use it for, you see the health center in Mafuluku. The building is there. They use it as parking spaces. They use it for community meeting.
Town hall meeting.
Yes, the local government has its own revenue collection offices there. And then that parking spaces they use it for, they collect money for people who park there. Base station is located there. In that small space, so look at what I've counted.
Health center.
I've come to there and I bring your purse and come to Mafuluku Health Center at Ajibulu. It's at Ajibulu Street.
I like the fact that you're actually calling out the name. And this is in Lagos.
Yes. And come and see what is happening there. Come and see what is happening there. That's a health center that is under some certain people's constituency. Why will you be using a health center as a parking space, commercializing it? You see them doing meetings there. They even, see them putting canopies on the spaces of the health center. You see base station. You see so many. You see revenue of everybody. It's so busy. And then you wonder, that's an health center. Go there, go round of all these health centers. If you are talking about this in Lagos, what about the other states? To let you know what is actually really going on. So that's why I said the political will to do the right thing, we also lack it. If the money that these reps are collecting, are used for these things that we mentioned, everything will be fine. Do you know how much they collected? I browse now. They said dialyzing machine is about between 8 million and 25 million. If you are buying 4 every year, you get it, for your constituency, or 2 every year, in 10 years, how many are you going to have? You will have had about 40, dialyzing machine in your health centers. So another thing is that in that health center, there's supposed to be a place where you can go for nutritional advice. Nutritional advice, so that all these problems can be taken care of through the nutritional level. Because many of the things we eat in Nigeria are part of what is causing these kidney failures, cancer, whatever. There's no protection, there's no proper screening of the type of food that we eat.
Okay, Mr. Lawal, thank you so much. Let me take it to Comrade Ibrahim Momo. Comrade, good morning to you.
Thanks for having me.
Comrade, how are you doing today?
Oh, very well. I trust you're doing well also.
Okay. All right, Comrade, I want to bring you up to speed. I don't know if you actually, joined the program from the beginning, but of course, we're talking about, the rising situation of kidney, failures in the country and kidney situation, patients, crying for help.
Yeah, I'm following.
And of course, the cancer situation.
Yes.
And I want to quickly read some facts here, so that we can all, be abreast with the situation of this nation. Now, let's talk about the federal government allocation, to health per year. From 1999, I'll be swift about it, don't worry. In 1999, it was 24.5 billion. And 2034, 34 billion. In 2005, 71.685 billion. In 2010, it was 164.91 billion. In 2015, 347.26 billion. In 2018, 418.28 billion. And in 2019, 461.28 billion. 2020, 583.96 billion. And 2021, 695.04 billion. 2022, 826.91 billion. 2023, 1.17 trillion. 2024, 1.502 trillion. And 2025, 2.48 trillion naira. And in 2026 proposal, 2.48 trillion. Now there is something I want to talk about here, which is the capital budget that is released and the utilization problem. Now, the reality, between 2025 to 2020, between 1999 to 2025, Nigerian government actually made a declaration in 2001 that they would actually allocate 15% of national budgets to health. And of course, this also cut across to African leaders, as at the time in 2021, the announcement was made. Comrade, are you aware that the reality today, we have never met that 15%? Our average was about 4.7% of our national budget. Now, in 2021, we had about 134.59 billion budgeted for capita. Only 90 billion was released and 54.76 billion utilized. In 2022, 207.39 billion was budgeted. 123.77 billion released. But guess what? 74.23 billion was utilized. In 2023, utilization dropped from 27%, where we have 134 billion allocated, and less than 30% of that was released, which was 40.4 billion. Now, in 2024, we had about 233.656 billion, and only 26 billion, comrade, 26 billion, 26.552 billion was released. Now, 2025, only 36 million was released out of 218 billion appropriated. Comrade, we've actually had several situations in the country, and we are always, asking them to look into our health sector. Cancer has killed about 78,000 Nigerians yearly, which is from NCS, as regards to their, that's a national cancer, control. They've actually, mentioned that. And our budget for national cancer control plan has never exceeded 1% of health budget. Now, away from that particular one, in 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari's government commissioned 6 cancer treatment centers. I don't know if you're aware about that particular one, because, it was all over the news. And as of 2026, most of them still lack radiotherapy machines. Was this just politics without implementation? That's the big question. Now, comrade, Nigeria now spent over $1 billion yearly on medical tourism since 1999. Every administration would promise to stop medical tourism. Now we have heard the Parkland, are overcrowded, and this particular, popular actor, Ogogo, needing advanced care. Has the nation failed our citizen completely? Or what should we be talking about here? Please, over to you.
Well, thank you very much. First, for the very detailed review of annual appropriation for health, and then, of course, on paper, and then, of course, the releases that were done. It speaks to the insincerity of government over the years, where humongous amounts of monies, though way below the threshold agreed of 15%, was allocated repeatedly, perennially, but only a fraction, a miniature fraction of that amount actually gets to disburse to the health sector. This is something that should worry every Nigerian. And one is not surprised because we see that our top politicians, virtually presidents, go abroad for medical care. That's also something you hear in the UK, that the UK Prime Minister or the King of England would go to another country for medical care. You won't hear that in the United States of America, that the President of the US will go abroad to another country for medical care. The excuse that Nigerian leaders tell us is first they'll tell you they are going on a working visit or a private visit. It is all that a doctor who are managing their case lives abroad. You need to be president of a foreign country. How is that your personal physician is in a foreign country? What if that personal physician dies? Is that an excuse? Are you saying that you will not seek alternative care? You not seek care from alternative physicians? That's the question. They are seeing that doctors, whether it is the resident doctors or consultants or the NMA itself, you see repeatedly over time they are always agitating, for proper funding, proper remuneration. Every time those are perennial issues that the health sector has grappled with. We see the amount of brain drain, where more than 50% of our medical doctors, trained medical doctors in Nigeria, always seek solace, seek succor abroad. The doctors have become medical tourists themselves, seeking greener pastures all over the world because of the failure of our government to cater for the regulation and federal health centers. These are worrying.
Okay.
That Nigeria continues to grab.
All right. Thank you so much, comrade, for that particular one. It's so sad that we just have to move, to the second conversation. But before we do that, Dr. Chisom, are you there? Doctor, can you hear me? Are you there?
Hear you. I can hear you clearly, yeah.
All right, so doctor, I would like you to just give me your concluding. Yes, I would like you to give me your concluding thoughts as regards to all of this situation. And what I wanted to even talk about or to ask you, but because we're pressed for time, in just 20 seconds, I want to respond to this. During COVID-19, we saw quickly the government could mobilize funds for health. Why can't we show the same urgency as regards to this situations like the NCDs, like kidney failure, cancer that kill more Nigerians yearly? Why? Is it that difficult? I'd like to just respond to this in just 20 seconds, please.
Yes, it is. To be honest, I don't think it's difficult in any way, because we also saw what happened during the pandemic. We also saw the amount of funds they disbursed to the different facilities. We saw they even went to the extent of getting palliatives for different states across the country. I think this is something that they can do, and we plead with them to make sure and to make sincere efforts to make sure that these funds, or make funds entirely general accessible to hospitals, and then allocations get to the end of the food chain. Because it is one thing disbursing funds for a particular project, and another thing is for the amount of money disbursed to get to the end of the food chain, which is the patient. So I implore that they just make the effort and then look towards it. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Chisom, for being part of the program. Don't worry, I would have more of you so you can actually give us proper situation reports. But just for clarity, the next time you might be talking, you have to be talking to the health broadcaster here, for more analysis. And I'm more of a political person, but thank you so much for being part of the program. Thank you. All right, moving on, we'll have to just move to the next conversation. Lagos motorists under attack, and of course police arrest 6 over road harassment. Yes, I will just be diving into this particular one. Fear and outrage are spreading among motorists in Lagos following the circulation of a viral video showing suspected area boys allegedly harassing and intimidating the motorists on the road. The footage, which triggered a widespread reaction online, has now led to the arrest of 6 suspects by the Lagos State Police Command. Police authorities said they were already aware of growing concerns over the activities of the street miscreants before the latest video surfaced. But the disturbing footage intensified response. According to the command, the suspects were arrested after officers launched an operation to identify those alleged involved in the harassment, with the police promising to intensify surveillance and enforcement against criminal elements disrupting the safety and free movement of the residents. The development comes amid renewed complaints from the residents and motorists about alleged attacks, intimidation, extortion in part of Lagos, particularly around busy transport corridors such as Oshodi for ordinary commuters, and concerns goes beyond the viral video. It is about whether motorists can travel through major Lagos roads without being stopped, threatened, and forced to pay some amount of money, and people operating outside the law. The latest arrests therefore put renewed pressure on the security agency and the Lagos state government to sustain operations against hoodlums while ensuring the innocent residents are not subjected to harassment. All right, let me pick it up from Comrade Ibrahim Momo before I bring it back to the studio, which is the Lagos man here. He has already called on. He has called out the Mafuluku, health center already. But let me start off with Comrade Ibrahim Momo, and after then I'll bring it back to the studio. Comrade, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, I can hear you now. All right, Comrade, you just heard what I read as regards to the latest situation as regards to this, area boys, harassing motorists and taking from them. 6 has been, apprehended so far. Now, I remembered that we actually had Lagos Operation Sweep Lagos, then in 1996, and task force in 2000 to tackle street thugs. And later, the present president, who happens to be, who was the former governor, of Lagos State, then we had kick against indiscipline, Kai. Mr. Lawal, you remember that particular one? Now, this same situation has been, happening over time, trying to see how to rehabilitate or take these boys off, from the streets. The same is actually happening now. And does it, what does it take for our government? And this is across board now, because you can't just say it is only in Lagos that we have, these boys around. I've been to Edo State, Benin, where we have some of this situation, and it is everywhere. But just that of Lagos now is becoming alarming, and some of them, if you don't get to give them money, they throw stone at your glasses, they destroy your car, they break your side mirror. So, what's your take as regards to all of this?
Yeah, that society has its own fair share of criminalities and criminal elements. Every society has. In fact, saw a report about a month ago which showed that in London is the world capital of phone theft. And that was surprising to me. The first point to make is that every society has its own fair share of criminals. Number 2 is that it is the primary duty of governments for provision of security of lives and property of its citizens. Government at all levels. The federal, because security is a concurrent issue. Federal, state, and even the local government. It is the duty of government at all levels to provide security for lives and property of citizens. So even though there are criminal elements that they ought to, as is normal in the run of things, we expect that government, for example, if you break traffic in that same Lagos, if you disobey traffic regulations, they will capture you. So why is it difficult? The motorist who disobey traffic rule, who beats maybe the traffic light, or who drives on the BRT lane, he will be apprehended, either fined or prosecuted. How is that miscreants are able to ride roughshod over innocent an unsuspecting motorist without the security services being able to be on top of the situation? So, yes, I applaud the police officers, the police for having apprehended 6 of this. But the question is, why are we reacting? Why are we waiting for it to happen? And then maybe it is caught on video before we are not taking action, the police are not taking action. Why? I think that it is a failure of the Lagos State Police Command and of the Lagos State government, and then the local councils, local government area, within these highways where this kind of criminality occur, that these people are able to do so much evil. Imagine the example you gave that they try to extort forcefully. And if you refuse to part with some money, they throw stones at your windscreen or windshield. What I want to suggest is that they.
All right, I think we're having a network issue with Comrade Ibrahim Momo. Let me bring it back to the studio where we have.
Okay, well, I'm back.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Okay, so the point is that it's a failure of government. Just to put it pointedly, that government allowed this kind of criminality to occur without nipping it in the bud, essentially.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade, for that wonderful submission. Let me bring it to the studio. Mr. Lawa, you would agree with me that in 2009, RRS was formed, Rapid Response, Unit to combat against, street criminality. You remember? And these were meant to be their job. But after how many years? It looks like they look away. Should we say RRS has actually failed, or the area boys are now becoming, too large for them to actually contain?
The major problem we have in this country is political mentality.
How do you mean?
Our political mentality is a kind of a selfish, self-centered political mentality. The politicking that is for you only. No, whatever I can gain from the government, that is why I'm doing politics, because I need to feed. So that is our mentality. So anytime we have this opportunity, we simply use it for ourselves. That is why you see many of these institutions are really not working. In Oshodi here, you have the task force close by, not far away from the same place, and you see these people operating water. Even people who carry load, they will demand money from people who carry load on their head. Do you believe that? Now, the first time we ever had a government that is serious about things like this was the time of Marwa. Marwa, did his best to try to remove them from the street. Even provided, this occupation for them, paid for it. Many of them were learning work and everything. Most of them left the street. And then we had this democracy, and then they were brought back. You know why? Because the politicians see it as a means by which they can actualize their objectives. They use them. And the instrument you use, you always keep it clean. That is the problem. That's why it's difficult to take it out. Because they see them as tools. And the tools you use, you have to keep it clean. And that's why they see them operating like nobody can take them out.
So are you thinking this is more of political now?
Yes. Even the police. Police will tell you that, see, if you arrest them, somebody will make a call now, and then before you know, you will release them back into the street. As of last.
Okay, so you talked about Marwa. Let me also mention this.
That's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You mentioned him, but to all fairness, the president, who was then the governor of Lagos State, if you remember, in 2002, he also cleared Oshodi. If you remember, he cleared Oshodi. Oshodi was called Jungle back then. He cleared Oshodi. But are we saying that after that particular,
how did he clear the Oshodi?
Have you forgotten? And I mentioned part of it that some of these boys were given jobs. They were moved to join Kick Against Indiscipline, which is Kai. You remember?
Anyway.
And these people were taking, no, Mr. Law, I talk based on fact. I'm not taking any briefs for the president. No, when once anyone has actually done something tangible to an extent, do you understand? We would mention it. But all I'm saying here is that if we actually cleared that, 20 years later, it is looking like nothing, was done or was ever done. I remember in the days of Fashola as well, perhaps because then I was working with the state media house. And guess what? The governor went to a certain side around Morocco, around some areas, and when he got there, the engineers, contractors were complaining that they were not allowed to continue their construction, one. Secondly, they were taking, the materials, the construction materials. You know what Fashola did there? When Fashola got there, Fashola said, oh, we're fixing road for you people. We're trying to do recreation center. We're trying to do different things for you people. And I heard that they said, you don't want them to work. One. Secondly, you're even moving things. It's not an issue. But you know what I want to do for all of you? You. Stay like this. You come. Who is the leader of this particular group? They mentioned the leader. He said, you are the head supervisor. All of you are now on payroll in Lagos, through Lagos State. You resume. You give yourself the shift and make sure that equipments are complete, materials are complete. Not only that, that you see that this particular construction finishes, get to the final point. That was the end. That was the end. It's in the public domain. You can actually, when you're done, you can do your research and you confirm what I'm saying. So, how did we get to the point where these boys are back, on the streets and it is becoming even worse? I'd like to talk about that.
Now, that's why I said these boys are tools in the hands of politicians. Therefore, they keep their tools oiled. They keep it, clean so that they can always use it anytime they feel like using it. Now, our method of politicking is the major cause. Our method of politics in Nigeria is the major cause why you see all these things. Now, when you talk about, we have talked about NURT many times. Some people even go against me. I said, where is the jurisdiction of NURT? Where? Is it not in the park? Are they supposed to be on the street collecting money? Are they supposed to sit somewhere collecting money? They're supposed to be where parks are. And when you talk about NURT, you talk about also their members. How many people are their members? It's a dispatch rider, their member. It's a freighting vehicle, a logistic vehicle. Sorry, it's a logistic vehicle. They are members, but they collect money from all of them. No control. Now, when you have young ones who are in school, who's supposed to focus on their work, or maybe they are learning, they're supposed to learning occupation, a trade. They're supposed to focus on their trade, and they saw somebody who is on the street coming home with money every now and then. How do you expect those children to be serious? Very soon they want to go and join them, and that's why you see many of our youth becoming area boys, becoming all these things. Instead of them, being productive to the society, they become area boys because there's a free money, there's a protection for them when they are on the street, because some certain politicians, also get some returns, and then when they need boys to go and maybe carry ballot box or go and attack another opponent, these are the people they use. And when there are no consequences, what else you see? Look at that Osun election. A whole senator coming out to say, kill the other opposition. And then up to now, it's like,
he said that was not the context.
That was not the context. You should come to court. Okay, so many people have been arrested in the other side that have said something by their word of mouth. And they were taken to court to go and defend themselves there. But when it comes to their own side, somebody can come and say, out of what do you mean out of context? Your word is against your word now. So you can see something like that. Now that person is speaking to certain people. Those certain people will go and operate. Who will arrest them? There's protection for them. So they're going to give them protection. You saw how many people died in Osun State before the election. Savior, you saw the record of people who died. Some people actually did those things. They didn't just die spiritually. They were killed. They were attacked by humans. How many people have been arrested for that only? And then the whole senator come out to say that. Kill certain people of the opposition.
And Mr. Lawa, I'd like to.
So what do you expect?
I'd like to point out something before we round off. Lagos is, of course, about 100 billion dollar economy. We actually call it a mega city. Now, I remember the word mega city is what I want to talk about. I remembered when the current president, who was the governor then in 1999, he actually promised a mega city. But 27 years after.
Mega refuge.
Huh?
Mega
No, Mr. Lai, if you want to talk, you say you have mega refuge or whatever. No, but that's not the case now. Why are informal tolls, still, are being part of the daily community? And just like you said, of course, you remember, between the 90s, the late 90s and, 2011, Ojodu Baja, around, Ojuelegba axis, we've also seen the election chaos that happened. That's, the war, should we call it war, the street fights during the election, post-election that happened back then. And to an extent, the question keeps coming. With the large economy, with Lagos being, the mega city, how should we actually contain this part of, Lagos that we are not proud to talk about? And so that people can actually walk freely and drive freely. In just 20 seconds, please.
See, there's supposed to be a plan. Government don't just sit down and make plans. Government make plans using experts. You don't just call politicians and tell them to go and do something. No. Politicians are not experts. Call experts. This is what we have on ground. Design something for us for the next 50 years. Where are we going to be? And they will come up with a blueprint and then give it to you. Now, this thing, the primary, the first aspect is the educational aspect.
Yeah.
The second aspect is for the government to be proactive, to be able to sanction any leader who is in support of these
hoodlums.
Yes, hoodlums. You have to deal with them. By the time you are dealing with them, because these children, they need funding. They need Baba Isale. They need somebody that will make a call anytime they face an issue. You get it? Like maybe they are arrested.
Okay.
They need somebody to call them. If you cut all those things off, many of them will not have, they will simply leave, while others will not join them, and the whole thing will step down. And the education is supposed to be well structured in such a way that our education can, give somebody a purpose. By the time even you are leaving primary school, you remember in those days when we were small, our parents, some of them were working with primary school living certificate. They were working with it, and they became a guy in their various areas, and they retired, and they built houses. They were okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lawa. We're pressed for time. Thank you so much, Mr. Lawa. I know you can actually go on and on, of course, but because of our time, thank you so much for being part of the program today. Thank you, Dr. Chisom, and thank you, Comrade Ibrahim Momo, for being part of the program. This is how far we can actually go, but please, I would like you to know that you are not permitted, to actually tune off from the station. We have loads and loads of other programs, coming up that you should be enjoying, over the weekend with your loved ones, all right? Don't give up because it is not over. Tough time doesn't last, but tough will do last. Whatsoever you face will soon be over, and you will definitely smile again. My name remains Savior Udo. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand.
Big news this year. Your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 GHz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 GHz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second. Polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. VOP TV on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
The rains are here. They bring relief, green fields, and fresh water. But they can also bring danger if we are not careful. Rule 1. Avoid flood waters. Never walk, wade, or drive through moving flood water. Fast-moving water can sweep you off your feet, and that water may hide open drains, sharp objects, or live electric cables. Rule 2. Stay away from weak structures and slopes. Heavy rain can weaken buildings, walls, and hillsides. Avoid sitting on the old buildings, billboards, or trees. If your area is prone to landslides, report cracks or soil movement to emergency agencies immediately. Rule 3. Protect yourself from lightning and accidents. Stay indoors during thunderstorms. Avoid open fields, tall trees, and metal objects. If you must travel, drive slowly. Use your headlights and never use an umbrella near power lines or while riding. And Rule 4. Stay healthy. Clear your gutters to stop mosquitoes that causes malaria. Boil or filter your drinking water. Keep food covered to avoid cholera and typhoid. And wash your hands often. This rainy season, stay alert, stay prepared, stay alive. This message is brought to you by Voice of the People Television.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Every day strike, ASU strike, market women strike, even Kole people they strike. We don't become country of strikers.
Even light self, they no fit give us. Don't run from motor. Even leg self, they get accident.
Why una dey complain? Why una dey complain? No una dey collect bribe, dey vote Sokoloko Bango ṣe.
Ìṣèjọba tó dára, òun là ń béèrè.
Anyị chọrọ ọchịchị onye kwuru uche ya. Anyị achọrọzi ọchịchị nchigbu.
Ala ndeze teme ka muna so mekio.
Wetin we want na make dem rule us well.
Don't take it for noise. It's the people's voice. They have made their choice. Respect that voice for all to rejoice. VOP 90.3, Voice of the People.
In a world where power shifts its every headlines, News breaks and events happens. We bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Welcome aboard hashtag on VOP TV. My name is Vivian Uguchi, and it's such a pleasure to have you join us. This is where we get to tell you all things trending and all things topical on social media, especially on X. Now, if this is your first time here, accept a very warm welcome from us because the whole team working together that this is a flawless production. Talking about being here for the first time, Leo, this is your first rodeo here. Yeah, so welcome. It's a special welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. Yes. That, guys, by the way, is Leo Orike. He is a social commentator. And of course, today we are going to be actually flying this plane together. And we promise you a safe landing. Without further ado, though, let's get this show on the road. We begin with the very first hashtag, which is hashtag drug files. This is a story we've been following from the word get-go. You know how in journalism you pick up a story, you are going to follow it to the logical conclusion is what we're doing. Yesterday we brought you the hashtag that in 7 days the US is expected to release some very, very sensitive information. But today the FBI just told the US court that's pressing for President Tinubu's drug trafficking case, something that transpired in the 90s. The FBI is saying, look, do not release these files, these records. If you do it, people will die. And Nigerians are like, maybe this is even more than what meets the eye. In fact, the FBI is also saying if you do it, you're going to be revealing our techniques to the world, and it doesn't bode well for the US. This is a huge deal right now. It's one of the most talked about stories on X. And you know who is smack dab in the middle of it? Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is also the ADC presidential candidate, because it is his lobbyist. You know, the one he paid some really cool cash to in America that is really stirring up all of this dust. So let's take you to X now so you see the very first post. It is hashtag drug files. Yeah, so Nigeria Story says the FBI has warned a U.S. court that releasing some records relating to President Tinubu could endanger lives, filing an application on August 20 to submit its explanation privately and under seal. They want to do it privately. They do not want Nigerians and, of course, Americans to know what President Tinubu or what happened, what transpired between the president and the U.S. In the 90s. Let's also take a look at the Punch, because the Punch is going to be expanding this a little bit. We'll take a look at the next post now. It is hashtag drug files. And so the Punch says the FBI made the request in an application dated August 20 before the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, saying it could not publicly disclose the full reasons for withholding certain information. An ex parte in-camera declaration is a submission made privately to a judge for consideration without being placed on the public record. That's what they're asking for. And then it goes on to say the application was published on X on Thursday by Von Batten, a Washington-based lobbying firm recently hired by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. I told you. Well, let's take a look at that post now that Von Batten put up on X. It's a huge, huge deal now. This is it. Von Batten says, update, we have now been informed that at U.S. Court's Judge Howell this morning granted the FBI permission to provide the court with the documents in private and has given the FBI and DEA headquarters, of course, the Justice Department as well, and the Nigerian President Bola Tinubu until the 28th of August 2026 and no later to file their opposition to the release of Tinubu's alleged drug trafficking records. I stress the judge's no later comment because the court has reached its limit and is making it clear that the FBI must now convince the court why the documents are too sensitive to be released. That's not all. Let's take a look at the next page of this one now, because he's giving us the meat and bones to this particular story. It goes on to say that unlike Joe Biden, the Justice Department, unlike the Joe Biden administration, and of course the Justice Department, where the DOJ and FBI blocked, stonewalled, and refused to admit if they had any sensitive drug trafficking related documents on President Tinubu, the DOJ and FBI under President real Donald Trump are moving fast and being transparent as they move through the process. The FBI has now admitted that it has highly sensitive drug trafficking related information about President Tinubu. By admitting this, we now know Tinubu's claim that the case was simply about civil forfeiture is untrue. The FBI does not deem civil cases highly sensitive and seeks to present the evidence to the judge in private. This is usually done in high-level drug cases where the goal is to protect the agency's dealings with the criminal informant. And then it goes out to say, this ties into the allegation that President Tinubu ratted out his alleged co-drug traffickers in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Leo, this is huge. I'm going to be coming back to you in a short while, but let's conclude. Let's finish what Barton is saying on X. We'll take a look at the next page. And then it goes on to say the FBI admitting in court that it has sensitive information on President Tinubu and requiring the court to review the documents privately before any court order ordering their release is given aligns with what our friend in the Trump administration has told us. We will follow the law, but we do not protect drug traffickers. That's what the Trump official said. The FBI is following standard procedures for protecting informants, but is also openly communicating that President Tinubu's claim of innocence is far from the truth. We thank President Trump and the White House senior staff for moving this case forward after 3 years of stalling and for being fully transparent, unlike the Biden DOJ, that would be the Department of Justice under Biden, which did not acknowledge it had sensitive information on Tinubu. Leo, the responses from netizens are huge. Before I get to the responses, I want for you to really jump on this.
So if you are looking at the nature of this case, it's a very sensitive case. Mm-hmm. So the bigger question we have to put here is, how long, since 1990 till 2026, is a long time. And you see, it is only the United States that can tell Nigerians what is in that file, what that file contains. This is not a new case. It has come up before. We have been, we have been hearing it, the Tinubu drug case file. And in fact, as long as I'm concerned, I can't say Tinubu here in question is guilty of it.
Yeah, because it is you can't say someone is guilty until he's proven guilty.
Until he's proven.
Yeah.
So the issue here is Nigerians need transparency. We need to know what is on that file. And seeing Atiku being in the middle here with his lobbying firm, going after to say, okay, we want the release of this
drug-related
records.
Yeah.
Now, if going by what the CIA put up, going by what we see from CIA, the FBI, and even the DEA included in it, so it boils down to the fact that they can't release these release this information.
In fact, the FBI is saying it's too sensitive, that if you release it, you're going to be endangering our assets.
Obviously.
So the thing now is, according to Atiku's lobbyists, President Tinubu allegedly ratted on a fellow drug dealer, and so he was given a deal. He was cut a deal. In fact, before I come back to you, Leo, I want for us to go back to X now, because at some point, Nigerian investigative journalist as well as author David Hundeyin is going to be coming on board here because you know how he's been on this matter. In fact, there's a post he put up on X that's really gained traction since 2024. I can say I have that. But let's begin to take a look at the responses now. Netizens are talking. Nigerians are talking. What is this all about? How come the FBI is saying, look, do not release these files, these drug-related files on President Tinubu, or else people are going to die? I mean, it just brings the chills, right? Let's take a look at the responses now. It's still hashtag drug files. So Austin says there's more to this hashtag Tinubu drug case than we initially thought. Hashtag Tinubu is lobbying hard to hashtag FBI to not release the files publicly, citing it will cause a huge damage to the nation. So there is some element in those files that we do not know about. And then he asks, will the FBI release it? It's $1 million question, and it's not just it. This thing is about 60 pages, really. And then this is David Hundeyin. This, by the way, is from the 12th of November 2024. David Hundeyin is a Nigerian investigative journalist and author. And then in 2024, this was the post he put up on X. He said, yesterday in federal court, the CIA, FBI, and DEA filed a memorandum opposing our motion for summary judgment in the FOIA disclosure case about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's drug trafficking investigation records, where we are seeking to have the redactions removed from the files that's partially released. That's what it means when you have redacted documents. And then it goes on to say, in the filing, the CIA effectively confirmed that Nigeria's sitting president is an active CIA asset. An excerpt from the CIA filing reads, the next page. Quote, human sources can be expected to furnish information to the CIA only when they are confident the CIA can and will do everything in its power to prevent the public disclosure of their cooperation. In the case of a person who has been cooperating with the CIA, official confirmation of that cooperation could cause the targets to take retaliatory action against that person or against their family or friends. Do you now see why the FBI is saying people could die? And then David goes on to say, David is quoting the CIA. It also places in jeopardy every individual with whom the cooperating individual has had contact. Thus, the indiscretion of one source in a chain of intelligence sources can damage an entire spectrum of sources. As such, confirming or denying the existence of records on a particular foreign national, like Tinubu, reasonably could be expected to cause damage to U.S. and national security by indicating whether or not the CIA maintained any human intelligence sources related to Tinubu and identifying any access or lack of access any such sources had to intelligence concerning him. End of quote. David goes on to say, and if that wasn't bad enough, the DEA's filing included a paragraph that literally said, quote, we oppose full unredacted disclosure of the DEA's Bola Tinubu heroin trafficking investigation records because we believe that while Nigerians have a right to be informed about what their government is up to, they do not have a right to know what their